The San Marcos River is exceptionally unique.
It's just a very special river that we need to protect. Need to protect the fish, the water, and the kids that try to use it. I think we need to protect them all.
Don't put your trash in the river. Be very careful of whatever you get in with in your cooler that you get out with.
Been traveling these wide roads.
And I think we can do a lot to have peace in the valley.
My heart's been far from you, 10,000 miles.
I know when you all look at it now, it's a beautiful, clear river, and you think, wow, it must just always be this way, and they've taken care of it. But actually, in truth, this section of the river that we're in right now was declared so polluted that you shouldn't swim in it in the 1950s and 60s. So it was not a clear river. It was not clean, and it had a lot of pollutants in it.
Fall of '72, we had our first cleanup here, and we've been organizing cleanups at least once a year, usually several times a year ever since. So, since '72.
We have been monitoring trash pickup. And since 2013, I know for sure that the amount of litter in the river has gone up because the number of people using the river has gone up. We've gone from 38,000 people to 49,000 people. Our student body has gone up by X percent every year. And so the total human footprint on the river has gone up with the associated diapers, beer cans, bottle cans, flip-flops, everything else. And that's why a lot of the river community people here do river cleanups on a regular basis in an attempt to keep the river cleaner.
I am with the River Foundation in San Marcos, and our job has been to lobby and protect this river for about 40 years now. And so there's been a lot of work and improvement and a lot of awareness. You know, even you as students, basically you are a lot more aware about the river than students 20 years ago were. They put a lot more emphasis on it, teaching you all that basically whatever you throw down on the ground is going to eventually end up in this river, you know, when it comes right down to it. Well, everybody feels really good about picking up plastic bottles and cans, but it's a lot more work and a lot grosser to pick up all of the microlitter that's on the ground.
The microlitter is things like glitter or small amounts of styrofoam that are decomposing. So stuff that is more like an eraser head and smaller would be microlitter technically. Then there's mesolitter, which, as I indicated, are cups, bottles, things like that.
And these little plastic pieces parts are, you know, making it all the way down rivers, onto the coast, out in our oceans, and we've got regular islands of floating garbage. Lots of birds are dying, turtles, you know, animals that get confused and eat plastic thinking it's food. And the animal will often just starve to death because their stomach's full, but nothing nutritious in there. So it's a real problem. And they're finding microscopic pieces of this plastic in fish. And now that we're eating those fish, it's going to be in us. We really don't know what the long-term effect is. So for our own protection, we got to figure out a way to keep litter out of our rivers. You know, it's just the logical thing to do.
You know, the damage has been done. It's irreversible, unfortunately, so that's why we're trying to prevent it from getting there. Once it ends up in the river, confetti is made of, you know, plastics or aluminums. Those things are shiny, so, you know, any fishermen out there know that shiny objects, specifically lures, they attract fish. They think that, you know, maybe, oh, that's another fish, I can eat that. So our concept behind marketing that is that this confetti and aluminum, or aluminum and plastic confetti, is shiny. Fish and turtles might mistake it for food and then try to eat it and can end up in their system. So we're hoping to prevent any, you know, future deaths of these animals, especially here in the upper mile of the San Marcos River, where we have some threatened and endangered species, federally threatened and endangered, that we're, you know, wanting to protect more so than anything, but specifically, you know, all of our wildlife in the river as well.
It's just that corny thing, a river runs through us, what was the idea. It is one of the economic drivers for this community in terms of recreation and income that comes from that, in terms of meals, gasoline, hotels. If you actually look at the per unit value of the water to the economic impact of this city, it's the lifeblood.
The downside is that when we have 10,000 people floating this river on a really busy Saturday, and that happened during Float Fest. Average Saturdays we might get 5,000, but we'll get as high as 10. But half of them, I think, are so intoxicated they can't stay on their tubes, so they walk. And this nice clean water, at the end of the day, will look like the Brazos River. It'll be chocolate brown. It'll have an odor to it because 10,000 people peeing in this one stretch of river. That's like, I think that's about the population of Fredericksburg. And if you just imagine the entire town of Fredericksburg lining up and peeing for 2 or 3 hours, it would be a mess.
And when people walk around by the thousands, it kills the grass. Then when it rains, the fine sediment gets in.
We need to do something about teaching people to stay on their tubes, don't walk, because that kills the spawning beds. I mean, fish lay their eggs and they spawn, and then they have to protect those eggs. But if somebody walks over those eggs, they're gone. So it's just not healthy to have 10,000 people walking down this river in an afternoon. Floating is one thing, but walking is another. So it's little things like that where a lot of education needs to be done.
So they're doing studies right now to try to get in front of population growth, to say that there's only so many people that this river can ecologically handle and still have an economic benefit, and then you're just going to have to call time out. If you know much about national park systems, like Zion National Park restrict the number of people they will let into the park at one time. Same thing at Yellowstone. They were killing the park because so many people were using it. So they finally just said, look, we can only put through so many a day in order to maintain the integrity of the resource. Something like that will have to happen in San Marcos. But the hope is that through education, outreach to the community, and get them to understand this is what is at stake here. And if we can get the citizens of San Marcos to buy into that concept, it will be a lot easier for our elected officials to pass the ordinances, and then the will to enforce them, will have to happen.
We are very proud of this community because it is very river aware, and our politics in this town greatly rise and fall on decisions about this river and what's being done to it, what's going to be built next to it, how you're going to handle it, whether it's dams on the river or apartment complexes on the river. Those kinds of things are hot topics here, and we have a very active population when it comes to the river. Partly to the students who come and enjoy it and view it as something beautiful, but a lot of the local residents realize that this is unique, and people come from all over to see this because there aren't many rivers left like this anymore. It's really, truly uncontaminated and pure and healthy.
It's something that it brings the community together. The river brings students, staff, faculty, residents, business owners. It's something that is the heart of the San Marcos community, and I think that it's really special that we have that here in town, and I think it's our obligation to protect it for generations to come.